sawa ang mga pangako.
All communications, media had already broken down. They had bombed parts of or they had tried to bomb Radio Veritas tower and so on. And hardly anybody was communicating what was going on. Father Reuter put me and sent me to RJ, to the tower, and just told me to start broadcasting, and he would give me feed from within the camp.
Napakailap sa mahirap ang hustisya, lalo't bansa'y hawak lang ng ilan. Nag-people power one, nag-people power two, ang buhay natin di pa rin nagbabago. Nag-people power one, nag-people power two, ngunit hindi pa rin tayo natututo.
I would like to clarify that people were already on EDSA even before I went on radio. The station, RJ, was a station that was actually linked with Marcos because at that time it was supposedly owned by Ponce Enrile, all right? And it was used supposedly at that time again for propaganda. So we could not use DZRJ, one, for that reason. So Father Reuter said just change it and call it anything else. Two, also because it was so near Malacanang. Malacanang was right behind me, so to speak. And it was very close on the radio band to, fortunately, not on the radio band to Radio Veritas. So they bombed the gates of Veritas again, thinking that I was there at first, all right? Somebody, and I don't remember who, came in and said, well, let's just call you the Radio Bandit, no? Radyo Bandido.
Nag-people power one, nag-people power.
On the night that Marcos came out on television and presented one of the, a colonel or something like that, who he said was part of this coup plot, people just spontaneously started to go to EDSA. The events that led to EDSA, to people power, were years of oppression. We had had almost a decade and a half. So many people had suffered. We had lived in fear. I often used to say that my son grew up thinking that Ferdinand Marcos was a king. So we lived like this for many, many years.
People power one, nag-people power two.
I know many of my friends who were so active in EDSA 2 would probably take offense, but I just want to point out that I don't think it was the same situation. You had a certain class and type of people who went to EDSA 2. Yes, it was also spontaneous, and yes, it was against what they considered I wouldn't even call it a regime. No, because a regime is often associated with totality. They were under a president whom they were very unhappy with, but we still had a democracy. Prior to EDSA people power, there was nothing. There was no one that you could go to. Not the newspapers, not media, nothing. In EDSA 2, media had a field day. They could write, they could print whatever they wanted. The situation at that time was totally different. But I was so dismayed because of the tenor of the speeches, the attitude of the people. You cannot fault them because many of them were the young people who were inspired by people power. Even if there was no violence, let's say, really on the street, the violence that was done by the tongue, which was absolutely and totally different from the whole attitude of peace. We wanted change, but it must come through peaceful means. The whole idea of a giving of yourself. Total contrast, if you will forgive me, people were willing to die. I feel constrained to say that in no way could it have compared to EDSA 1. I do not intend to belittle EDSA 2, but I really say there was a great deal of difference, and EDSA 2 really spawned the 3 because people now thought, pwedeng ganito.
Kahit nag-EDSA 3, kahit mag-EDSA 4.
Can I blame media? In a sense, no. It should have been perhaps fairer, but at that time, there was a general consensus that had we allowed it to play up, it would have gotten out of hand. The temper of Tres was also one of violence, and it was very much manipulated by the opposition politicians. I'm not privy to it, but it seemed to have been a manipulation of opposition politicians. Did the mainly CD crowd that gathered there, were they honest about what they wanted? Many of them were. I think many of them who really thought that Joseph Estrada was the hero of the masses, and it was because he was such that he was not accepted really and truly or given a chance by the AB crowd. Many of them were honest in wanting to be able to express this. But by and large, what you saw was this manipulation. And in the end, I think media said this could develop to become an even more violent situation. And media also did not want to be strange, no? It manipulates, but it did not also want to allow itself to be manipulated.
Ngunit hindi pa rin tayo natututo.
I could trot out words like, until we resolve the plight of the poor, nothing will happen. Yes, that is a universal truth, and even more so in a country like ours. But the plight of the poor has been made worse precisely because the politicians who came around after people power did not have the political will to change things, did not have a vision. People thought that after people power, things would change. But there was no education. I believe that education plays a very intrinsic role in the development of our country. And only then will we be able to change truly the political system. I think now we are fast approaching the point where we are losing hope about ourselves. Because we went through an EDSA, we went through a people power when we thought it would change, and it didn't change. And so parang like, kung nagawa na natin yon at walang nagbago, ano pa kaya? You know, I believe that nothing is an accident. I believe in a country especially like ours that is so faith-filled, that there really is a plan of God, and that the people here are more open to seeing it happen. I only hope that we don't burn out before all of that comes to fruition.
Kahit nag-EDSA 3, kahit mag-EDSA 4, ang buhay natin di pa rin magbabago. Kahit mag-people power, tayo ang talo. Hanggat hindi tayo natututo.